Hey everybody, I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 38, part 3 of the Eyes, the final part of the Eyes. Before we get started, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon if you want notification of future content.
And follow the link below to find all of our social media, including merch.
Merch.
Merch, not merch.
Merch. Yeah, that merch isn't available anymore.
You can't get this anymore.
Nope. Okay. So, let's get started.
Yep, with
We've
the
got
eyes. So we
14
have
tonight, something like
we'll
that.
knock out 3 right off the bat.
There
This
you
is
go.
Ingenious Challenge, which the box just does not want to stay closed.
There is a lot packed in that box,
Yes.
so no, it does not stay closed easily.
This is 3 different styles of Ingenious.
Yes.
If you've ever played Ingenious, which we will cover here.
It's very...
Unfortunately at the bottom of the game stack.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that one, I guess, which seemed kind of poor planning.
Yeah, well,
But
it's a big box.
Okay. So, Ingenious, little preemptively, you are trying to match up colors and shapes to score points on an octagon board. Yeah, we'll get more into that later. But with this one, same basic concept. This guy comes with scoreboards that are used in all 3 of the different challenges, and you've got pegs that mark your progress along all of the boards on each one of them. So each one is a little different though. So you have the tile challenge. The tile challenge, there are 3 out in the middle of the table, and it is kind of a press your luck type of thing. One by one, you are pulling an item. If it matches something that's in the middle of the table, you have the option to
stop.
You have the option to stop and score, in which case you would score 2 points on, if I can get it out of the box, the blue track. But you also have the option to press your luck and go further. So you can press your luck and go further and, oh no, there's no green in the middle. So now you have to stop, and these 2 tiles go into the middle, and it's now the next person's turn. And then they pull a tile, and you do the same thing. Oh, look, a green. Do I stop and score my 2 points, or do I press my luck? Oh, an orange. I pressed too far. So you keep going until you actually decide you're going to stop. So if well, that wouldn't work. So if I managed to pull those 2, I could stop now and score 2 red and 2 purple, and then the rest of these stay in the middle of the table for the next player. So you just keep going like this. It's just a pressure luck tile pulling game is all it is. It was okay. I like pressure luck games, but that being said, it was okay. Then there's the dice game. The dice game is essentially the same concept. Everybody has a number of dice depending on how many players there are, and you roll your dice and you leave them in the middle of the table, and everybody is trying to match your dice. So we played it 2-player. I would roll my dice now, and I would try to match. I have 3 tries to do it. I would try to match Greg's dice. So if these were Greg's dice and I just rolled these and decided to keep them, and if you can see those, I don't know if I've got my hand in the way, then I could score the green and I could score the blue, but I wouldn't get anything else. So again, you're just trying to score points based on matching symbols and colors.
This was way too much luck, and I don't like luck dice
This
games.
one was very swingy. It was kind of... Out of the 3, this was the worst to me. So, then there is the card game, and spoiler, this was the best of the 3. This is
still
one.
Wasn't great, but
If this were by itself, I might keep it, but I guess that was a spoiler. So with this one, everybody has a card out in front of them, and in a 2-player game, everybody has 2 cards out in front of them. Well, here, let's do it this way. There you go. So what's happening is that on your turn, you're putting...
You have a hand of 5.
You have a hand of 5 to choose from. You're putting the card closest to the middle into the middle, and you're playing another card out. This goes into the discard pile. And this card is scoring based on everything else that's out. So, you're just scoring points, same as you would in the base game of Ingenious. This one was interesting. It actually involved a little bit of strategy because you had cards in your hand to
this
choose
one you
from.
could actually have some strategy
Yeah.
to do it in. The rest of it was all push your luck
pretty much
and
push your luck
random
and,
dice rolling.
Yeah. All in all, different iterations of Ingenious, which Ingenious we do enjoy. It's a great game. Between the three, I liked the cards. The tiles were okay because at least I felt like I had some decisions I could actively make. Granted, they didn't always help me, but I had some decisions. I don't know how this goes back together. It does not fit in there easily. Oh, crap. We forgot. We'll put it back together later. Anyway, this one is going to leave the collection. This has been sitting in our collection for quite some time now before he has a cow. This one's been sitting in our collection on one of the small game shelves. It is actually going to leave the collection though. I didn't think it was interesting enough that it would ever come off the shelf, even in one of our little card things. If anything, I would keep the cards and just pitch the rest of it, but it's going to leave the collection. Yeah. All right.
Next, we have another odd game. This is called Inklings.
This one was...
The game of little hints.
No, I never took that. It's a Goodwill purchase. Okay, so this one was... It's an interesting party game. It is played in teams. The way this one plays, you have this really neat board. I actually thought this was pretty interesting. Every team member, well, each person in the game, you have these with dry erase markers to write clues on. Now, everybody gets a card. And I thought some of these were actually pretty cute. Like this one is weekend chores. So what happens is you're taking your list of weekend chores here and one by one you're writing clues. Like the top one says mow the grass. Or mow the lawn. I'm sorry, it says mow the lawn. Well, you might put grass or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. You're wanting clues that other members of your team are going to grasp and be able to guess the chore. Now, everybody knows that the topic is weekend chores. But you're wanting clues. Now, the key is, though, that the shorter you make the clue, the more points your team's going to get. So, like, if I were to just put grass, well, we would only get 3 points because it's 5 letters long. It's longer than 4. If I could put something that's only 2 letters long, good luck with that, then we'd get 5 points out of that if they could get it right. Like the second one says laundry. So you might put, I don't know, detergent or water or...
Say detergent's a really long word.
It's a very long word. But then there's this neat little holder back here where when you're the person who's giving the clues, you can put your card in there so you can see them, but nobody else does. I thought it was a really interesting game. Definitely unique and different. It's kind of like... I don't know. I don't want to say hangman. It has that feeling because of the making the guesses and but at the same time, I don't know. I thought it was very, very unique. But that being said, it is a much older game.
Yeah, as we found on some of the cards in there.
Yeah, some of the cards are very, very dated. And for that reason, we're going to go ahead and let it go. Just in the interest of getting the collection down. Because we need to. So, hard choices. But anyway, that is Inklings. Like I said, really interesting party game, but unfortunately dated.
Next, we're going to go with Istanbul.
Okay.
We played Constantinopolis in the seas, and now we're playing Istanbul in the ice.
Okay. All right, so Istanbul is a very, very popular game.
Yes.
This is one where you have, and we have all the expansions in here. This is one where the board is made up of 15 tiles. And the idea is that you are taking your merchant. You are taking your merchant disc and all of his assistants, and you are traveling around the board to do different things. So now I have extra I found on Etsy a long time ago some overlays for the board. Throughout the game, there are a number of different boards, and they are actually double-sided. Now, I don't know. This is exactly the same on both sides. I don't understand why this one's double-sided. I don't know if some of the others might be different. I feel like that's a really big waste to have them exactly the same. Well, I don't think I ever noticed that. Well, that seems silly. But anyhow, so the board is laid out 5x3 or 4x4. I don't remember. But anyway, so you're traveling along, and as you're moving your merchant along, you are either dropping one of your assistants or you're doubling back and picking up one of your assistants. If you can't do either, and you can only move 2 spaces at a time. So if you can't do either, then you have to go back to the fountain and call all your people back to you. So you it's a wasted turn. But sometimes you have no choice. But each of the tiles do something a little different. It gives you resources. This one you can go to the post office and you get a number of resources, and those change up throughout the game. You can pick up cards and then decide which ones you want. The cards give you special bonuses. Oh, look, there's the fountain. More resources. There's places where you can pick up gems. Ultimately, the rubies are the winning factor in the game. So you want to get the rubies. Yep, there's a jail where one of your cousin or your relative.
Your cousin's in jail, and you go and get him out, and then he can go do some work for you until he gets caught again.
Yep, he goes to do one errand for you. And then as soon as another player catches him and sends him back to jail, they get something for it. But then you can go back and spring him again and have him go run one more errand for you. So it's kind of like a free turn. Gets you halfway across the board without having to drop.
Yeah, because there's no movement for him. You just put him wherever you want him to put him.
Yeah.
But he's there.
So, I mean, it's an interesting game. One of the options is that you can add to your wagon. So you can, I put it in upside down. You add to your wagon so that you can hold more goods. And you can do that a number of different times. That's one of the ways to get your rubies. Just all sorts of different things. I really like this game. The components are good. I love the overlays, but that didn't come with the game. So, but yeah, good game. This one sits in our collection. We will hold on to it.
Yes,
we do.
This was a sought-out game that I wanted for a while.
Yeah, we enjoy this one
quite
a bit.
A few years back.
Yeah, it's a 5-player game. I actually can only fit 4 of these in the box. I have to have the other one stored elsewhere. I can't fit it in the box, but oh well. Okay, anyway, Istanbul. It is staying in the collection.
Next we have I Spy, all about the intrigue from World War One.
Actually, it's pre-World War One. I was looking at the date on this. It says 1908. So I think this is all of the intrigue and stuff leading up to World War One. I think that's what I saw in the rule book. It was 1908. Because I was curious.
Down there.
The year is 1908, and the great powers of Europe simmer in uneasy peace.
So it leads up to World War One.
This is leading up to World War One. All right, so with this one, this will be a no. I know, but it's better now that we repacked a little bit yesterday or the other day, I guess. We got this from part of a swag bag.
Yep.
At HoosierCon, a local convention held here Easter weekend every year, held here in Indianapolis. And we've only seen, 2 copies since? But everybody we've ever played it with loves this game. And we've actually played this, we've figured out 10 times already?
Yes.
So we've played this quite a bit. All right, so here's your map. Now, the way this runs, you have a pawn that is moving around in the different areas. Everybody has a set of cards that they allow you to move. They allow you to interact with other players. They allow you to perhaps get a little bit of coins. Coins are kind of hard to come by. Well, not hard to. They're easy to come by, but you got to plan it out.
They're not as easy as you think, because there's not. That's all the coins that are in the game.
There's not that many. You're lucky to have 9 or 10 at a time. So, but there's different ways you can go into the different capitals and interact in the capital to do different things. Meanwhile, all along this edge, there are various contacts out there. and politicians, I think they call
Yeah,
them.
politicians.
And the politicians, you can influence the politicians. All the politicians do different things.
Well, you don't really influence them.
Well, that's what they call it. Is
yeah, I know.
influencing them.
You go up there, you get a look at it, and you get to put
look
your
at it.
token on it.
But if there's another action where you can move them, you can
Yes.
oust them from office and put something else in their place.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. I
did
don't know.
that.
I don't feel like I do that action nearly enough.
I did it
But
on the
anyway,
last game.
so the overall goal of this game. This is the game. It's all hidden. I don't want to say hidden movement.
You're
It's not
aligned
hidden
with one of the countries at the
It's
bottom.
hidden alignment. There
Hidden
you go.
alignment,
Thank you.
yes.
So everybody is aligned with one of the major European powers. The problem is nobody knows who you're aligned with.
Nope.
And your job is to basically make that power the most powerful. Make that country the most powerful. There you
Without
go.
letting people know that
Without
that's your
letting
country
people-
that you're
Yes,
trying to. So
yes. It's a 4-player game. There's 6 powers. So there's always going to be 2 powers nobody is touching. Minimum. But you increase the power of your country by playing your cards and by visiting different places. So like all of the action cards have these ticket icons up here on the top in different colors. Whenever you play a card, unless you use an action to pull that card back, that is going to score at the end of every round or at the end of every phase. It could be, usually it's every 3 rounds you have an end of phase action and a scoring round. At the end of every scoring phase, this scores for that power. In addition to that, you can, as you visit each country capital, you're giving power to a different country. So every time that happens, you're taking these gorgeous chunky cubes and putting them down here on the bottom. And then whoever has the most power during the scoring round
gets a certain amount of points depending on
Yeah.
what place they're in.
gets a certain amount of points.
And
which
they
is
move
all
up
right
and down
here.
the track.
It's impossible to see who's winning. I mean, yes, you can see which power
Yeah, the whole
is
game
ahead.
you're trying to figure out who's
who.
what power, and let's try and check that power down, because there is
Yeah.
a card you can go to a country
and sabotage.
and sabotage it.
Yeah.
Whatever capital city you're in, you're sabotaging that capital
Yeah.
city, and they're going to lose a bunch of influence.
This is one of the most unique games, the most unique. I don't want to say it's the most unique subject or the topic, because it's not. I mean, there's
No.
spy games out there. I just think it does it in such a neat way that, like I said, everybody we've ever introduced this game to has loved it. If you ever find a copy of it, give it a play. It's. I wish there was more information out there on it that was
Yeah.
easier to find. So yeah, that is I Spy. Great. Spy game. All about intrigue. So yeah, good one. All right.
Next, we go to a bad one. We go to In Pursuit. This is
This is
a team game.
this is a twist on Trivial Pursuit.
Yes,
So
it's from the makers of Trivial.
it's from the makers of
Trivial
Trivial Pursuit. So yeah, this is an interesting one. All right, so the way this one plays, oops, we got our dice stuck in there. There we go. At the very beginning of the game. So first of all, you have your standard Trivial Pursuit cards. Nothing terribly fancy there. Your board is just simply this. That's it. You play in 2 teams. You have the red team and you have, I can't get them both
The
in
blue
my hand
team.
at the same time, but you have the red team and the blue team. There we go. There we go. Now, the way this works, though, is at the very beginning of the game, you have to pick teams. So, depending on how many people are there, you put your team captain pieces in, wherever, and you put enough, and I don't remember what they call them now, but you put enough of the smaller pieces in to account for the number of players as evenly as possible. So if you have an odd number, you just make it as even as possible. And then everybody, you give it a good old spin, and then everybody chooses a piece. So now, if you pull one of the little ones, well, you know you're on the red team. The goal is, now I'm not going to pull one. You watch. Where is it? Oh, there you go. The goal is you want to be the team captain. That's the goal. So once everybody has pulled their pieces, they know who their team members are. Of course, I won't find the other blue one. It's got to be here somewhere. There we go. So you have all your team pieces. You start by rolling the dice. When you roll the dice, everybody rolls individually. So everybody's asking questions. It's not team-based entirely.
No.
So you roll the dice. You have two choices. You can either just read the card for team play off of the subject that you rolled. So, and again, all of that is right. Oops. You would just read the subject off the card, done, to your team, and your team has the chance to answer it. Or, on your turn, you can also go by this dice. There's two different icons on this dice. There is the one that says you're going to overthrow your team captain. In which case, you ask your team captain the question based on this die, and if they answer it correctly, they keep their team captain status. But if they fail, then you swap pieces with the team captain. Now you're the team captain. Okay. Or you can roll this die and jump ship. You literally choose one person on the other team. Oh, and actually, I think the team captain gets to pick who gets to do that. I don't remember for sure. But the team captain, I think, gets to pick who has to answer the question when you decide to do a jump ship. Because what's going to happen is if that person fails to answer, you swap teams with that person. You literally exchange pieces with them. So now you're on the blue team, and that person's now on the red team. When you get to the end, now mind you, the goal again is to get your team into the center. When you get your team into the center, the only person who can win the game, because they win individually,
the captain
is the team captain. Yeah. So if you're one of his helpers or the pawns, you can't even win. You have to challenge the team captain. You have to do an overthrow. It was interesting. That being said, it was kind of convoluted. We're going to get rid of this one. It is going to leave the collection. Again, it was one of those that we stated that if it misses with us, we're going to go back to the BGG stats. And this one has like a 4.5. So this one is leaving the collection, but I did think it was an interesting twist on Trivial Pursuit. Just not interesting enough. Yeah. So.
And again, it's Trivial Pursuit, so the questions are dated.
The questions are dated. Yeah, unfortunately. All right, well, that is... That is In Pursuit. It's from the makers of Trivial Pursuit. Same concept. Yeah, but it is going to leave the collection. But interesting twist. Yeah.
Next, we have a tile placement game of Isle of Skye. This is in the realm, I guess.
Carcassonne.
Yeah, it's a Carcassonne-ish type of game.
Yes.
But you're building your own areas.
Instead of building one massive map, you are each building your own.
And at the end of each round, you're scoring depending on the way your map's built and what the scoring condition is.
The big difference here, and this is all in an insert that's kind of hard to put back in here, so I'm not going to dig too much.
Every expansion's in there.
Yeah, all of our expansions are in here. So this is your main board. I'm not going to go into the expansions. This is your main board, and on the main board you have 4 different scoring tiles. And each round, you play 6 rounds. Each round, something different scores. So in the first round, only whatever is here in the A window scores. On the second round, only the B window scores. Then the B and
the A and
C. I'm sorry. Then the A and C's windows score. Then the B and... So every round you're scoring something a little different. And these tiles could be... Well, here, those are easy to get
every tile scores twice.
Every tile ends up scoring twice. Like this one is you get victory points based on how many of them. It has to be that one, which I have no idea what those things are. The little towers.
Yes.
you get victory points based on how many of them you have.
Yep.
It's that simple. So it's this one. Yeah, you get victory points based on your
Brock.
It's a
Broach. B-R-O-C-H.
Broach. Bro, that's not sound.
Broke.
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, this one's lighthouses. So you get victory points based on different icons in different situations on your board. So now the key with the boards, though, is at the beginning of every round, everybody is pulling 3 tiles from the bag. You're putting those tiles out in front. You have a little barrier up where you can hide you basically hide your money. And because you don't want anybody to know how much money you have. Everybody has the 3 tiles. You also have 1 token that indicates that this tile is trash. Doesn't matter if somebody wants it. It's going in the trash at the end, as soon as the tiles are revealed.
Yep.
So you are deciding with your own money how much you're going to insist somebody pays you for the other 2 tiles you have. If nobody buys them, then you get to keep them, but you just give that money to the bank.
Yeah.
So you've got to be prepared to give up that money. Now, once everybody reveals what they've decided, you go kind of round robin, and everybody gets to choose 1 tile to purchase from another player. And they have to pay that player how much that player set aside. So if Greg set aside $8 for this 1 tile I really need, in order to take it, I have to give him $8. Then he keeps that $8 and he keeps the 8 that he reserved it for, and keeps all that. And then the second tile, if nobody takes it, because it's possible somebody else, if you have playing a multiplayer
you're going to
game,
end up with 3 tiles
in a 2-player game.
2 tiles.
Yes, 2 tiles. In a 2-player game, yes. In a multiplayer game, you may only end up with 1, the one you purchase, because somebody may buy both of yours. But you're going to have a lot of money if they do. So then you take how many ever tiles you end up with. In one of the expansions, you end up with you potentially end up with a 3rd tile, because you have to buy it off of a completely separate board. You're buying a different tile off of that one. But you're taking your tiles and you're putting them into your landscape. The idea being that you have to match up the terrain types.
Have to match roads.
But your roads do not.
But if the road ends, the road ends.
Right. If the road ends, it ends. However, one of the ways to get money, the primary way to get money, is to match up your roads and have barrels along the road giving you money. So you want the roads to match up. It's an interesting
Or
game.
at least connect back to your main castle.
At least connect back to your castle, right. So we ended up picking this up at a Mayfair dinner we went to.
It was the release party.
The release party,
yes.
yeah. It was a release party for this one. We ended up getting 2 copies because we took our son with us.
Yes.
And he got a copy as well. I don't know. We've since gotten all the expansions for it. We do really enjoy it. We don't play it as often as we should. But it is a good one. Someday we're going to play this at more than 2 players. I would be curious to see the differences. I don't think we ever have. But it plays good.
Yeah, we did.
Too.
At the release party.
We
played a 4-player game.
Okay, good point. Anyway, that is Isle of Skye, from Chieftain to King. Great tile laying game. Again, very much in the, I don't want to say the Carcassonne world, but the Carcassonne rules.
Kind of.
Very much in that same rule set.
It's a
sort of
tile laying village building type of game.
Yeah. So, but it's a good one. It is a good one. So, anyway, yeah, Isle of Skye, and it is going to stay. We actually have copies in both collections because, again, we got 2 copies that night. So, we're going to keep both of them.
One doesn't have the expansions.
One has all the expansions, the other does not, right? It's just base game. So
next is probably my favorite. My favorite Cran rail game.
I'm afraid to find out what just happened.
It's just those pieces.
Okay, just these pieces rolled around. All right, that's not too bad.
Player pieces.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite Cran rail game. This is Iron Dragon.
Yes.
Here,
we're going to do this because...
there we go. This is in the line with Empire Builder.
The main reason we don't want to do the board is, if you can see this, this is full of chits.
Little bitty chits.
That if you stand them up, they're not going to be so neat and organized anymore. This one lays down. All right, so the idea with this one is you have your big puzzle of a board that is, I actually got 2 pieces that go together. How about that? So you have this giant board, which I will just show a picture of because I'm not going to try to hold all these. But you have this giant puzzle of a board. You have a number of cranes, and you are literally drawing lines and purchasing, and you're drawing lines on the map to move between the different
to build your
mileposts. Yes, to build your rails between the different mileposts. And then you are moving along the milepost based on whatever the movement on your train is. This one, like in the one, and we've already played that one, right? What is that one called? Yeah,
Empire
Express, which we have already played. You just move a base 12 per round, period.
There was no upgrading.
There was no upgrading your train. Well, this one, you can upgrade your train. So you start out at 10 movement. You can get all the way, oops. There's a number of different upgrades, but you can get all the way to 16 movement per round and holding 3 pieces of equipment rather than just 2. There are 3 products instead of just 2. There's also ships in this one because you can sail across the open waters by ship to other areas of the board. And the ships have special movements. You just have to pay their boarding cost to get on the ship, to take your train onto the ship to continue your journey.
Yep.
There's the captains that give you special abilities. And there are ways to trade out your captains throughout the game. Or not your captains, they're not conductors. They're conductors.
Conductors, yeah.
Which makes much more sense thematically. But the real key to this is your delivery cards. Each card has 3 items on it, and then it tells you what city wants to buy what. And then you have to...
You got to pick which city. You don't get to use all 3
Yeah,
cities.
you have to pick one of the 3. You can't do all 3. But then you have to find this item somewhere on the map, and there are cheat sheets to tell you where they are. But you have to be able to go to that city, pick it up, which means you're picking up... Whoops, if I can get my fingers on it. One of these chits to put onto your train...
And then ship it to wherever it needs to go.
And then you have to ship it to the city that it goes to, yeah.
Right.
It's a long game.
But you got to have rails to get to those cities, so you're constantly building your train tracks out to get to your areas.
So you can spend $20 to do trains, to do the to build. Each of the different mileposts, depending on the type of milepost it is, costs a different amount of money. Costs money to go across rivers.
In this one though too, you can't just stay in one area and just take jobs in those areas because you got to be able to win. You've got to connect 7 of the 8, I believe it is 7
of the 8 major cities.
And this one actually has an underground where you can go down. But for every day you're down there, you're paying the troll a coin just to be down there to build. It's really good, though, because you can build a track to one of the entrances in the underground, and if you build through the underground, then all of a sudden you're coming up on the other side of the map, and you didn't have to go all that way with it. And I had the underground completely built in the last one. You never even got down there.
No, I was never near one of the entrances. So this is a very interesting take on the whole crane rail system. I do like this one a great deal. We found this at Goodwill for like $5. Didn't look. As a matter of fact, the crayons were still sealed.
Yeah. This was they had made a second printing of this or a second print run or whatever back when we were working with Mayfair at Gen Con, and they had it for sale for like $70.
Wow!
And then when I seen that, you said that $5. I was like, that's a no gimme.
Yeah,
a no gimme.
A no gimme. No brainer.
No brainer.
Okay. Needless to say, this guy is stayed in our collection. It is one of 2 crane rails we have, and although we do not get them to the table nearly enough,
we really enjoy them, though.
We do very much enjoy them, yeah.
I like these better than Ticket to Rides.
Really? Well, you can't block people out in this one.
No, you can't.
I mean, there's always a way around. You could.
You could if there's a lot of people playing.
If there's a lot of people playing. If you have a full complement of people playing.
And this is a long one because it says 120 to 240. And I think this took us like 4 hours to play this the last time, didn't it? 3 to 4 hours.
It took us about 3 or 4 hours, yeah. It took us a little while. I can't imagine trying to play this with 4 players.
It's 2 to 6.
I can't imagine trying to play this with 6 players. Wow.
I would love it.
I bet you would.
It'd be crazy. Rails all over the place.
Yeah, it would. All right,
Because you can use the other people's rails.
You
but
could.
you got to pay
You gotta pay
$4
them.
to use it for
That's
every day
true.
you're on that rail.
Yeah, you do.
And I paid you a bunch of times in
You
that
did.
last one. And I
never
still
had-
beat her
you
butt.
Well, you only beat me by like $40. It wasn't that bad. All things considered, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty close.
I beat you.
I know. If I had been able to deliver my last load, I'd have had you. Unfortunately, I was halfway across the map, so that wasn't happening. So, anyway, Iron Dragon. It is staying in our collection. Yeah, great game.
So next we have Imhotep and Imhotep Duel. So these two that's been sitting on our shelf because the last time we played either one of them, I don't think I didn't really care for them. Either one of them, I wasn't a humongous
I like
fan.
this. I liked them both the first time we played them.
Well, you
but
won
this
both
one
of
can
them,
have
so.
This one can be very take that.
I don't know. The last play we played of this, I actually like this one better than that.
Really?
Yes.
This one is very simple. So the way this one plays, very Egyptian theme, in case you hadn't guessed. I'm going to put that one over there for just a second. So the way this one plays, you have all of your goals sitting out. These are basically your building tiles sitting out in the middle of the table. Each one with a different objective and different scoring. Everybody chooses one color of these gorgeous chunky building cubes. Love these.
I don't know
Your
if they're
score tile.
gorgeous or
I
not. They're
just-
black, gray, white, and brown.
But still, I love how big and chunky they are. They're
Okay.
not just your standard cubes. These are big, chunky cubes, and I love these. It reminds me of the ones in I Spy, where the big, chunky. Of course, those are nice and brightly colored. So, anyway, so the way this plays, every round you are drawing. You play in 6 rounds, and every round, of course, we have these backwards, so you can't see them. You're drawing one card that tells you which boats are available that round. And then you pull those boats out of the supply and set them aside. You have 3 options for actions every round. You can, well, actually 4 actions. You can go get more stones from your quarry. You have a tablet with allowing 5 stones. You're allowed to take up to 3 at a time. You can only house 5 max. So you can do that. You can take one of the stones off of your tablet or off of your supply and put it
On a boat.
onto one of the boats. That's all you're doing is putting it on the boat. You can take one of the boats
As long as it...
as long as it has the minimum number of cubes it needs,
Correct.
because some of them, like this little one that takes 2, needs at least 1 on it to sail. Why would you sail it otherwise? The big one that has 4 needs at least 3 on it to sail. But then you're going to sail it over here into one of the notches on these boards and then unload the building material that are on there. Now, mind you, it may not be just yours. Everybody can go onto the same boat. You decide when you're placing them where you want them on the boat. So you dock your ship, you dock one of the ships, and then you unload them based on the rules. Now this one here is cards. The first person off the boat gets to choose which card they want. And then it just goes on from there until all the cubes are off the boat. Or you have the temple, where you are just one by one, you're putting the cubes down in a row. And then at the end of every round, you score this one based on how many colors you can see from the top.
Yep.
Who's sitting on top of what row. This guy, you just put all of your cubes in one spot. Whoever has the most gets 10 points at the end of the game. This guy, you're literally building a pyramid. And you get points based on where yours go, but they're going onto the board in a very specific order. This guy, same thing. You're going on in a very specific order, but you're scoring at the end of the game based on how many of yours you have consecutive. How many of them are in a group. So, and the backs of them have different scoring. So there's multiple options here for scoring. It's just really interesting. I found it very interesting this time, and it is a very highly acclaimed game. I know that. It's very popular. What we finally decided to do, because again, we've only ever played it 2-player. There is some take that, because you can move a ship even if
You don't have
You don't
anything
have-
on it.
yeah, if you don't have any equipment
any
on it.
ship that can move, you can move whether you have anything on it or not, and you can move it to something that's like going, oh, they're going to go there. I'm going to move it now, and I'm just going to bring it down here where it won't matter.
It won't do anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some. You can mess with other people, unfortunately, but at the same time, there's a lot of strategy in where you're putting your cubes.
Mm-hmm.
What ship are you moving? Do I wait to get that third cube on that ship, or do I risk somebody else moving that ship before I can?
Yes.
Or do I just go where I need to go now with only 2 cubes on that ship?
Mm-hmm.
So I found it very interesting. This last play, I felt like we came at it from a different perspective and really enjoyed the play of it, which I was happy for. However, we'd already filled in the space.
Yes.
So we are going to keep it, but it is going to go into the other collection. I feel this would be a great one to add to the strategy collection over in that in the other room. So Imhotep is technically staying, just not in our room. So the Duel plays same concept.
It's the same concept, but it plays completely
It
different.
plays
I think.
completely different, yes. So with this one, here's your board. And it's laid out in a grid. So with 9 spots on it. And there are ships moored all the way around in all 6 of the areas around. Throughout the game, you are putting these tokens onto the ships. Whenever you empty a ship out, the tokens go on back. You replace it with 3 more tokens. Everybody, each player has their scoring sections. So, and this is, again, it's just a 2-player game. So there's 2 sets of these. Here we go. So everybody has the same set of scoring information. And these are double-sided, so you can swap it out, which I love. But the main crux of the game, on your turn, you have 2 choices. You can either put a piece down, or you can activate a ship. If you activate the ship, everybody gets, like for this guy here, if I were to activate this ship, he would get this middle tile. If he were up here, he would get this far tile. So everybody gets the tile. Whoever's in this row gets these tiles to add to their boards, to their scoring boards. And then you just refill the ship. I mean, it's an interesting twist on it. You're not moving the ships. You are just collecting items off of the ship. And there are pieces to the pyramids, 2 different color pyramids that you can build up. There are pieces to the tomb, which score based on 2 different scoring mechanisms there. There's pieces to the temple where you simply score how many dots, or you can collect all of the, 1 of each. All different scoring pieces. So I found it interesting. Between the 2, I like this one better because it plays so quick.
Yeah, this does play quick.
Yeah, this one plays very fast.
That one played pretty quick, though.
It did, with just 2 of us.
It's only a 40-minute game, and this
Yeah.
one says
30.
30.
Yeah. So this one we are going to keep. It sits up on our 2-player shelf. We are going to hold on to this one for
The
now.
spot for that didn't get taken.
No. Well, would you rather keep this one then?
There's no place for it.
Oh, well, I'm sure we could rectify that if we had to.
We'd
but
get rid of another game.
all right. Well, for now, this guy's staying in our collection. This one is moving over to the travel collection. But both great games. We did enjoy both of them very much. Anyway, that is Imhotep and Imhotep the Duel. Both staying, just in different places.
So, now we have Imperial Settlers rolling right. And Imperial Settlers.
I was going to say, don't turn that over. Right?
This one can be turned up.
Hey, that's true. It does. It can, although it does sit flat.
Yes, it does
on the
set
shelf,
flat, but
but-
it can be set up because
Yeah.
it is a tight box.
Yeah. All right. So I really don't see the correlation between these 2.
There really isn't.
There's
I
not.
mean, it's the same kind of thing that you're doing. And
Yeah.
You're getting resources to do different things. This is just a Tableau builder.
yes.
Tableau engine builder
Yes.
for points. This is... It's not a tableau. It's a rolling right. I
Yeah.
mean, you're just getting things to move up the line. What do you call those? those things, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I have no clue what he's talking about.
The rows, you know. I'm thinking of tech tree, okay? That's the word I was looking for.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's not really
It's
a
not
tech tree, but it's like a tech tree because you're getting resources to move up it to score points.
This is what he's talking about. So
Right.
we'll start with this one.
This is like the tech tree right there. You're trying to move up.
So with this one, you are rolling dice. Everybody rolls. One person rolls the dice, and everybody works off of that roll for that turn. You also have cards that are out in the middle of the table. Before the roll is done, everybody takes a card starting with the start player. It's a special power. An extra ally for the turn, an extra worker.
Yeah, a two-player game. We had 3 of them out, and only 2 of them ever got
touched,
taken. It was basically we kept swapping them out.
Basically, yeah. So what you're doing is you are rolling the dice to get resources and to see how many workers you have for that turn. And then you are crossing things off one by one on your board. You actually have 2 different boards. You have
Well, you
these
have that,
2.
and then you also have solo.
There's a solo board too. So you have these 2 different boards, and you are using various resources or actions to cross things out. Like this space here requires 1 stone to cross off. This space here requires 2 wood. Down here, you can, once you get your bridge built, then you can access more resources down here that you can use to fill in up here or to fill in over here on these buildings, which give you special powers once it's done. So it's your typical roll and write. You're rolling dice for the powers and for your actions and filling in your boards in order to score points. I mean, your typical roll and write. So that's that one. This guy is the deck builder version of it.
It's not a deck builder.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It is not
a
a deck builder.
Tableau engine builder.
Yes. We have all of the expansions in here. Everybody gets 1 race at the beginning of the game. 1 group of people.
1 faction.
Faction. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for and couldn't come up with. So like there's the barbarians and the Japanese and the Egyptians. Those all came with the base game. And then the Aztecs were not base game. Neither was that one. Here's the other one. The Romans. So you have those 4 in your base game, and then the expansions added in the Atlanteans, the Aztecs, and the Amazons. So
and then there's some mini
expansions in here too, which added even more cards. You start out the game with a deck of 30 cards. Now, everybody has this many cards to sort through to get your deck of 30.
When you have all the expansions.
Right, when you have all the expansions.
The base game only,
it has the 30 cards, yes. So now as you add in expansions, they are very good about saying, okay, here's what you have to choose. You get so many of the sets of 3 and so many of the sets of 2 and so many single cards. So it does help you out in that aspect. But you're building your cards. You are using resources, and all of the cards have resource values on them. So you are using resources that you are gaining through production to build cards. There are ways to raise your own cards or to raid and raise your opponent's cards to get more ability, to get more resources.
The faction cards these have 2 things you could do on it. You can build the building, or you can put it up top as an offering, a deal to get it during resources.
You can spend a food to put it up there to make it a production card.
The base ones, actually, you can build it, or you can
use it as
raise
a foundation.
it. Those have 3.
I've heard that Empires of the North is like a second take on this. And I've heard it was really good. I don't know. I mean, to me, this one's okay. It's not my favorite game by any stretch. But it's okay. I would play it if somebody asked to pull it out. Unfortunately, it does not come off the shelf very often.
Not anymore,
No. That being said, we never really talked about it, but I suspect it's going to stay in the collection.
Yeah.
Because we do it. I mean, it's okay. But it is the only game we have of this type. So, for now, these will both stay. Again, this sits up on our roll and write shelf with right next to the little 2-player games. Yeah. But again, both good games. Imperial Settlers and Imperial Settlers Roll and Write.
Next we have
Oh my goodness.
an Opoly game. This is Italy Opoly. So let's explain. We found this at Goodwill when we had just gotten
Right
back
after
from
coming
visiting
back, yeah.
Italy. So we was like, hey, let's grab it.
I
We never
mean-
played it until the other day.
No, we didn't. And I kind of wish we still hadn't. But hey, whatever. It's a Monopoly game, guys. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. I do like, this is your rule book. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The pieces
The
dice are red and green. They match
green.
the Italian colors. Great.
And you have gelato and
Yeah, I like the
And-
pieces.
a smile,
I have to
a
give that
wine
for
bottle, sunglasses, a heart, and pizza.
Yeah,
Which, when we were in Italy, was told that pizza wasn't invented in
Nope.
Italy.
it was not.
It was invented in the United States.
So, I mean, I have to give that for the Opoly games. I love the game pieces.
Mhm.
They always are very creative on those. So, anyway, standard Monopoly board, standard
Just different
Opoly
stuff.
board.
This
yeah.
one only has, what was it? We said
There's only a
4
couple.
cities.
Yeah.
You got, well, you got the Alps, you
yeah,
got
that's
Colosseum.
what's-
It's Tuscany, Venice, Milan, and Rome.
Yeah.
And then the boot is where Boardwalk usually is at.
Yeah, the rest of it is all things.
Yeah.
Cappuccino, the Italian Greyhound, gelato, pasta. It was okay. That being said, the trip to Italy was almost 10 years ago. This guy is going to leave the
So
collection.
it's sat there that long.
Yeah. So, we gave it our play. But it is leaving the collection.
Next is Indianapolis in a box.
It's an Opoly game.
It's a Monopoly game too, yes.
I
And actually,
wish-
what's funny is one of the areas, it's old enough that one of the areas on here is completely null and void now because every building on there no longer exists.
Yeah.
And that would be the area in blue, which has Market Square Arena, blew up. Well, they blew it up.
I was going to say,
And now it's an
wait,
apartment
what?
building. RCA Dome is where the convention center expanded for
Yeah.
Gen Con. And Busch Stadium is where the Indianapolis Indians used to play, and now they have
Now
a
an
stadium
apartment
downtown,
complex.
and they took the grandstand and made it an apartment building.
Yeah. It's a really nice apartment building.
Yeah.
So, this is basically all locations and things that
Around
were
Indianapolis.
that are or were around Indianapolis at one point in time. And the book is upside down. Gee, Merry Christmas. You couldn't have told me that. Anyway, so it was a nice walk down memory lane when we played this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to go, oh my gosh, I remember that. Like Deer Creek. Who here in Indianapolis calls it anything but Deer Creek?
That's been around for a while. That was here since it was open.
Even then, people who as soon as they hear it called Deer Creek and they hear the history of it, they
Well,
still call it Deer Creek.
The younger crowd are like going, what's Deer Creek? But anyway,
It's Deer
it's
Creek.
changed. It changes names like every 4
couple
years or
yeah.
something.
Something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so just very interesting. The zoo, the fairgrounds, the children's museum, City Market, which isn't there anymore.
City Market's there.
Is it?
Yes, it's still there.
God, I haven't been downtown. Well, never mind. Apparently, I haven't been there in a while. White River, Crown Hill. Just, I don't know. It was at Union Station. One of my first jobs here in this city was in Union Station.
Now that is not real. I mean, the building's still there, but it's not really
the mall
used.
is, yeah, the
The
mall is
mall
gone.
inside of it is gone.
Yeah.
The hotel is still there.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my first jobs was
Yep.
in this, when I first moved here, was
Yeah,
in
you
Union
got-
Station.
Lockerbie Square, where James Whitcomb Riley's home is at. You got Broad Ripple, which is a small. It's a nightlife area where a lot of bars and restaurants and little shops near Butler University.
Yep, 16th
16th and Georgetown is a very famous intersection that's known around the world, and apparently she didn't realize what was there until I had to tell her. But that is where the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is at. I'm not sure what this Midtown Crosstown thing is, though.
I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm not
Hinkle
sure.
Fieldhouse is the home of the Butler Bulldogs, where they play basketball at, and where my high school actually graduated.
Shapiro's, St. Elmo's.
If you've been to Gen Con, you've
Velodrome.
probably seen St. Elmo's. You've probably been to Shapiro's.
Yeah, both very popular places. So,
Yep.
Indiana Roof Ballroom, that's where prom is held for the high school our kids went to. Just lots and lots of
Yep.
interesting things. Yeah, memory lane again. So we did play this the other night. As with any Opoly game, property tax got hit pretty much every round.
I was ready to go after 4 rounds because I hit it every single
You hit
time.
property
around.
tax, and I went.
There was only 2
I kept
times that I
hitting-
actually passed the start, and I
And got
actually
to
got
keep your money?
to keep my money.
Yeah, I kept hitting go to the traffic jam, the exit to traffic jam.
The only reason I had won is because
Which is
everything
jail.
you pay, other than the properties, goes in the middle,
Yeah.
and if you hit the motor speedway, you get the money.
And he finally hit the
That's
motor
the
speedway.
only, yeah, and there was like over $1,500 in there, so.
So we talked about this one quite extensively.
A lot of nostalgia.
A lot of nostalgia.
Well, a lot of nostalgia to me, but you've been here for 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
She's not originally. She's an implant, as we call her. She was born in Virginia instead of Indiana, but we can't
Hey.
fault her for that. She had no choice.
Well, hey, I stayed here. That's what matters, right?
Because of me.
Touche. But still. Anyway, ultimately, we decided that we're going to hold on to this one because of the memories involved. This one has actually been pulled off the shelf at an event before because it's from here. And other people share the same memories.
Definitely a Goodwill find because the box has seen better days.
I wish the box were
It
in better
looks like
shape.
the box actually had water damage.
Yeah,
in
it does,
So-
which is a shame.
It probably sat in somebody's basement for a while
They
and
did,
worked.
but
But the inside's all
yeah,
still
the
great shape.
inside's in great shape still. So anyway, we're gonna hold on to this guy, Indianapolis in a box. In other words, Indianapolis. So, yeah, interesting. So that's that one. All right.
And the last one we got pairs up with the first one that we did, Ingenious and Ingenious with the lid on wrong. Ingenious, the travel edition.
Yeah.
This is a 2-player version of this game.
This game. Okay.
And really, really small.
So this guy, as we talked about, here's your board. I'll kind of unfold it in half here. So there's half of the board. Your pieces are these double hexagons. So when you first play a piece out, you have to go next to one of the 2 colors on the piece you're laying out. And then you count based on what you're laying next to. So like right here, my blue would score 1 point. You don't score the tile itself, you only score what you're laying it up against. And you can score everything that is in a straight line. So if there was another blue right here, then I would get to score 2 points. So you score anything that goes out in a straight line from the piece you're laying down of the same color. When the board fills up,
When nobody can legally place
Yes.
a piece down,
yes,
then you go to scoring,
and the
it's
score is
your
lowest-
lowest highest, or the highest
the
lowest
highest
score.
of your lowest scores. So if you had 5 of your scores way up here, but yellow was way down here, well, guess what? Yellow's your score for the game. So you've got to keep everybody even and stay ahead of your opponent's lowest scores, which I am not good at doing. So that's this one. Now, this guy is essentially the exact same thing.
Yep, but it's the 2-player version.
Right. I like this guy because everything is built in. The tiles. Now, this one does give you holders for the tiles. I just didn't pull them out. But this guy, the tiles sit right there on the edge of your board, and they lock in place. Oh, I even got that in the right place. How about that? So they lock in place on the board, which I love, which again is typical of a travel game.
Edition.
So now, again, this one, if I were to explain scoring, if I were to do that, I would get 2 points off of this tile because each of these is next to something. So you score each one of the 2 icons. So
But if you laid it like this, you'd only score 1
I'd
point.
only score 1 point because you don't score the tile itself.
But the next time you put a yellow there, now you're scoring 3.
Which, of course, I'm not going to pull right away.
No.
Yeah. Now see, if my next tile were that, then yes, now I would be scoring 3. So I do like this version. However, I don't see it ever going anywhere with us.
Nope.
So we are going to let go of this version. We're going to, hopefully somebody else can get some good use out of it. I don't see a point in having 2 copies of it. But we are going to hold on to this one in the other collection. This one sat in our collection for a really, really long time until we got Axio. And they play so similarly that we kept Axio and put this guy in the other room.
Axio is instead of the hexes, it's squares.
It's squares, yeah. But anyway, that is Ingenious and Ingenious Travel Edition. This one will stay in the travel in the travel collection. This one, unfortunately, is going to leave the collection. And this is on backwards. Anyway, there you go. So that is it for this edition, for this episode.
That's it for the eyes.
That is it for this episode and for the eyes. Let us know what you thought about any of these. Anything we should keep. I know we had a lot of movement on this one. A lot of things moving around or leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you've never listened to any of our podcasts, we actually start talking about some of these games. We talk about our favorite one from that letter that went, the worst one we thought in that letter was, and then the surprise of it. So we've been talking about that on our podcast.
Yeah.
So check us out on the podcast. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us.
Yeah.
So until then, we'll see you at the next one.